You're not ready for what just happened in the C murder situation, because the moment this new evidence hit the internet, everything people thought they knew about the case started collapsing in real time. At first, it looked like just another update, another rumor, another inside source claiming something big was coming. But within hours, it wasn't just blogs talking. It wasn't just comment sections speculating. Suddenly, people connected to the case started reacting in ways nobody expected. Old statements are being re-examined, past testimonies are being questioned, and the energy around this story, it shifted from quiet controversy to full-blown internet chaos. And here's where it gets even crazier, because the narrative everyone believed for years is now being challenged by what some are calling unexpected evidence that allegedly changes the entire direction of the case. That's not a small claim. That's a complete shakeup of one of hip-hop's most debated legal stories. Fans are split right down the middle. Some are saying, it's finally happening, truth is coming out. Others are saying, don't believe everything you see online, this could be misinterpreted. But the tension is undeniable. Social media is on fire, clips are going viral, and every platform from YouTube to X is dissecting every single detail like it's a hidden code waiting to be cracked. And right in the middle of all this, the reactions from people closest to see murder are what's really raising eyebrows. Because the way certain names are responding, or not responding, is making people ask one dangerous question. If this evidence really changes everything, then what exactly were we being told all these years? And more importantly, why does it feel like the real story is only starting now? The internet is in absolute chaos right now over one question. Did new evidence really change everything in the C murder case? Or is social media running with a story that's still unfolding behind the scenes? Because over the past few days, clips, posts, and so-called insider updates have been spreading at insane speed. And depending on who you ask, you'll hear two completely different versions of reality. One side is saying this could be the biggest breakthrough in years. The other side is calling it recycled rumors getting blown out of proportion again. But what makes this situation different is a reaction. Because it's not just random pages posting anymore. It's not just fans debating in comment sections. People who have followed this case for years are suddenly reappearing online, reacting to the same claims, and adding fuel to a conversation that refuses to stay quiet. And in the middle of all this noise, one phrase keeps showing up everywhere. New evidence changes everything. Now that phrase alone is powerful, because if true, it doesn't just reopen a conversation, it rewrites it. But here's where things start getting complicated. Because as of now, there is no single verified public confirmation laying out exactly what this new evidence is. Instead, what's circulating are fragments, screenshots, alleged statements, commentary clips, and interpretations from creators breaking everything down like a full investigation is already complete. And that's why this story is spreading so fast. Because uncertainty creates engagement, and engagement turns into viral momentum. Now let's break down what people are actually saying online. Some users claim that previously overlooked details in the case are being re-examined, and that certain legal discussions have resurfaced behind the scenes. Others are saying that witnesses or individuals connected to the situation are allegedly revisiting past statements in ways that raise new questions. But again, nothing is fully confirmed in a clear, official, updated public statement that closes a gap between rumor and fact. And that gap is exactly where the internet thrives. Because once a story reaches this level, it stops being about just facts and starts becoming about narrative control, perception, and emotional reaction. And that's exactly what's happening here. Every major rap commentary channel is now dissecting this case again. Old footage is resurfacing. Interviews from years ago are being replayed with completely new context. Even small emotional reactions from people connected to the situation are being slowed down, analyzed, and turned into theories. And suddenly, a case that many thought was in the background is back in the center of conversation. But what really pushed this into another level is the reaction surrounding C Murder's name itself. Because every time his situation gets mentioned online, it doesn't just trigger discussion, it triggers emotion. Supporters speak like they've been waiting years for closure. Critics immediately question the validity of any new developments. And somewhere in between, casual viewers are just trying to figure out what is actually real and what is internet distortion. And that's where the tension builds. Because according to circulating online commentary, there are claims that certain developments in the case may be getting revisited in ways that weren't expected this late in the timeline. Some people are calling it a legal shift. Others are calling it misinformation getting amplified at the wrong time. But nobody is agreeing on one clear version. And that alone is what's making this story explode. Because in the rap world, when a case like this resurfaces, it's never just about law. It's about legacy, perception, and who the public believes. And right now, belief is split. On one side, you've got supporters saying things like, "We knew something wasn't right about this case. We're just waiting for the truth to fully come out." And on the other side, you've got people pushing back saying, "Don't fall for internet narratives. Wait for official confirmation before jumping to conclusions." But neither side is slowing the conversation down. If anything, the debate is making it louder. And while all of this is happening, commentary channels are doing what they do best, breaking everything into clips, highlighting emotional moments, and turning speculation into structured storytelling that feels like breaking news. But here's the important part nobody can ignore. There is still no single confirmed public document or verified legal announcement that clearly explains the full extent of what this new evidence actually is in a finalized, official capacity that the general public can reference as complete closure. Which means everything right now exists in a space between rumor, interpretation, and developing discussion. And that space is exactly where viral stories are born. Because when people don't have full answers, they start building their own. And once that starts happening, every new clip, every new reaction, every new post becomes part of a bigger narrative puzzle. Even silence starts to feel meaningful. Even delay starts to feel suspicious. Even normal reactions start to feel loaded with hidden context. And that's why the situation is now spreading far beyond just RapNews pages. It's crossing into mainstream curiosity again. People who don't even follow hip-hop commentary are starting to see clips and ask the same question. What is going on with this case right now? And that question alone is enough to restart a cycle that the internet has seen before, but this time with even more intensity. Because the longer there is no clear, unified explanation, the more theories multiply. And in the middle of all of it, C-Murder's name is once again trending in a way that mixes legal history, emotional debate, and online speculation into one constantly moving conversation. So as of right now, there is no final answer. No confirmed full breakdown of new evidence in a way that closes the case publicly. Just a wave of reactions, interpretations, and claims that continue building momentum online. And the next part of this story depends entirely on what actually gets confirmed next. Because if even a fraction of what's being discussed turns out to be accurate, then this situation is far from finished. It's just getting started. Because now the conversation isn't only about whether new evidence exists or not. It's about who is reacting, why they are reacting, and what their silence or emotion might be hiding underneath everything being said publicly online right now. And that's where things start getting even more intense. Because according to what's being heavily discussed across commentary pages, this situation is now pulling in names that have always been emotionally tied to the case from the very beginning. And once those names enter the conversation again, the entire energy around the story shifts instantly. One of the biggest talking points right now is a reaction from Master P. Now again, there is no single verified statement confirming a dramatic legal breakthrough in the exact way social media is framing it. But what is real is how people are interpreting his past and recent emotional responses in connection to these renewed online claims. And that's where the internet does what it does best. It starts replaying everything. Old interviews, old press moments, old emotional clips. Everything gets resurfaced and reanalyzed like it's brand new evidence in a case that never really stopped living in public conversation. And viewers are now asking, why does his reaction feel different this time? Why does it seem like there's more being held back than being said? But here's the reality check that keeps getting lost in the noise. We are dealing with interpretation, not confirmation. Still, that doesn't stop the internet from building narratives. Because once a story reaches this level of attention, emotion becomes part of the evidence in the minds of viewers. Tone becomes proof, silence becomes meaning, and facial expression becomes a clue. And that's exactly what's happening here. Now let's talk about what's fueling the second wave of the story online. Commentary pages are now claiming that insiders or close sources are allegedly hinting that there has been renewed attention behind the scenes regarding old case details. Some are saying certain elements are being revisited, while others are calling it completely exaggerated internet storytelling. But again, none of this is backed by a clear, official public breakdown that confirms a full reversal or finalized new ruling that the general audience can point to as definitive fact. And that gap between what's being said online and what is officially verified is where the entire viral explosion is happening. Because the internet doesn't wait for confirmation anymore. It builds momentum first. Then it searches for meaning later. And in cases like this, that creates a perfect storm. Now let's break down why this story is hitting so hard specifically in hip-hop culture. C. Murder's case has always carried emotional weight in the culture. It's not just about legal headlines. It's about legacy, family ties, industry loyalty, and long-standing debates that fans have carried for years. So when anything even remotely related to new evidence gets mentioned, it doesn't just become news. It becomes personal for a lot of people online. And that's why every update, rumor, or clip spreads faster than normal. Because people aren't just consuming it, they're emotionally invested in it. And that emotional investment is exactly what makes the situation so unpredictable. Now here's where things take another turn in the online discussion. Some creators are now suggesting that this renewed attention might not just be about legal developments, but about timing. Why now? Why is this conversation resurfacing at this moment after years of relative quiet compared to peak coverage? That question alone has opened the door to hundreds of theories online. Some viewers believe it connected to resurfaced interviews. Some believe it's tied to behind-the-scenes legal discussions that haven't been made public. And others believe it's simply the internet recycling a case that never fully left cultural memory. But no matter which side people fall on, everyone agrees on one thing. The conversation is back. And it's not slowing down, because once the algorithm picks up a narrative like this, it feeds itself. Clips get reposted. Reaction videos multiply. Commentary channels start breaking down the same information from different angles. And suddenly, a story that started with vague claims turns into a full-blown digital investigation board across YouTube and social media. And in the middle of all of this, the emotional reactions are becoming just as important as the claims themselves. People are watching closely for how individuals connected to the situation respond. Not just what they say, but how they say it. Because in internet culture today, perception is everything. A pause in an interview becomes a headline. A carefully worded sentence becomes a theory. And silence becomes a statement of its own. But again, it's important to separate interpretation from confirmation. Because right now, there is still no single unified public announcement that clearly validates the extreme version of the story circulating online. What exists instead is a growing cluster of discussions, commentary breakdowns, and audience interpretations are feeding off each other in real time. And that's why this story feels so big right now. Not necessarily because of a single confirmed event, but because of how fast the narrative is evolving online. Now let's bring it back to the core question viewers keep asking. Is this actually a turning point in the case, or just another cycle of internet speculation building pressure around an already emotional topic? Because both things can feel real online. And that's what makes it so hard to separate fact from narrative energy. Some viewers are convinced that something significant is developing behind the scenes. Others are convinced the internet is simply amplifying fragments of old information and turning them into something bigger than they actually are. And both sides are now locked in the same loop, watching, analyzing, debating, replaying clips, and waiting for the next piece of information to drop. But until something officially changes in a verified and clear way, everything remains in the same space it started in, unconfirmed, unsettled, and heavily interpreted. And that's exactly why part 3 of this story is going to matter the most. Because if anything real does come forward next, it won't just add to the conversation, it will completely shift it. By the time the conversation reaches this point online, the story is no longer just about new evidence or a single viral claim. It has become something much bigger, a full internet-wide debate, a cycle of interpretation, reaction, and speculation that keeps feeding itself every hour across YouTube, TikTok, X, and commentary pages that thrive on RapNews narratives like this. And now, instead of asking whether something officially changed in the case, the internet is asking something even more intense. What happens if the public version of this story was never the full picture to begin with? That question alone is what keeps this entire situation alive online. Because once doubt enters a long-running case narrative like this, it doesn't leave easily. It multiplies. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. Clips continue resurfacing. Old interviews are being re-edited. Commentary channels are zooming in on emotional reactions, past statements, and historical moments tied to C. Murder's name and legacy. But here's the key thing viewers keep missing in the chaos. None of this equals a confirmed legal reversal or officially verified turnaround in the case as a finalized public update. Instead, what we are watching is something very different. We are watching internet reinterpretation in real time. And that's where the emotional intensity comes from. Because when a story carries this much history, every new rumor feels heavier than it actually is. Every reaction feels like it means something deeper. And every silence feels like it's hiding information. Now let's talk about why this narrative spread so far, specifically in rap media culture. Platforms like Say Cheese TV style pages, commentary breakdown channels, and viral clip accounts thrive on moments like this. Not because they are confirming anything, but because they are framing emotion, reaction, and uncertainty into digestible storytelling. And audiences respond to that instantly. Because this isn't just news consumption anymore. It's emotional engagement. And C. Murder's name has always carried that weight in hip-hop culture. So even the idea of a shift in his case triggers massive attention online. But again, what's important to understand is this. There is no single universally confirmed public legal statement being referenced across all platforms that definitively validates the extreme versions of the claims circulating online. Instead, what exists is a layered mix of recycled old interviews, emotional reaction from key figures, commentary breakdowns, speculative insider claims, and audience interpretation filling in the gaps. And when all of those elements combine, you get viral confusion that feels like breaking news even when nothing officially new has been confirmed in a final, authoritative sense. Now let's bring it back to the emotional core of why this topic keeps resurfacing. C. Murder's case has never been just a legal conversation in the eyes of fans. It has always been tied to loyalty, family tension, industry politics, and long-standing debates within hip-hop culture. So when any rumor of change appears, even loosely, it immediately becomes amplified. And that amplification creates pressure. Pressure creates reaction. Reaction creates more speculation. And the cycle continues. That's why every time this topic resurfaces, it feels bigger than the last time. Now, within the current wave of discussion, one of the most viral angles is still the reaction breakdown content. People slowing down clips, replaying interviews, zooming into facial expressions, analyzing tone shifts, trying to decode meaning that may or may not actually be there. And this is where modern internet storytelling gets dangerous in terms of perception, because interpretation can quickly become belief. And belief spreads faster than facts in viral environments. Some viewers genuinely believe these reactions suggest deeper developments happening behind the scenes. Others argue it's just emotional storytelling being overanalyzed in real time. And both sides are now locked into the same endless loop of content consumption. Watch, react, debate, repost, repeat. But through all of this, one thing remains consistent. No single verified update has fully closed the gap between speculation and confirmation in the way viral posts often imply. And that gap is where the entire narrative lives right now. Not in confirmed outcomes, but in unresolved attention. And unresolved attention is exactly what drives algorithmic virality in 2026-era media culture. Because platforms don't reward closure. They reward engagement. And engagement thrives on uncertainty. So as long as the story remains partially undefined online, it will continue to resurface in waves. Now let's talk about what viewers are really waiting for. Because underneath all the commentary, debate, and viral clips, the audience is waiting for one thing: clarity, a definitive explanation, a confirmed update that either validates or shuts down the speculation completely. But until that happens, everything stays in motion. And every new clip becomes evidence in someone's interpretation of the story, even if it's just emotion, even if it's just old footage being recycled, even if it's just commentary layered over commentary. And that's why this narrative refuses to die down, because it is no longer dependent on one source. It is being rebuilt daily by millions of viewers adding their own interpretation into the mix. So where does that leave us now? Right back at the center of uncertainty. A story that feels like it's changing, even when nothing officially confirmed has actually changed in real time. And that is the power of modern viral storytelling. It doesn't require a final update to keep moving. It only requires attention. And this story has plenty of that. So until something verifiable and clearly defined comes forward in a way that settles the discussion across platforms, the conversation around murder, new claims, and reaction breakdowns will continue evolving in cycles, sometimes louder, sometimes quieter, but never fully disappearing. Because in the internet era, some stories don't end. They just keep getting reinterpreted. And this one is still in that phase. So now, after everything you just heard, the real question is simple. Where do you stand in all of this? Because this story isn't just about claims, reactions, or viral clips anymore. It's about how people interpret what they see online when a situation like this starts trending again. Some of you are watching this and thinking there's definitely more going on behind the scenes that hasn't been fully explained yet. Others are saying the internet is running with fragments, old moments, and turning them into something bigger than what's actually confirmed. And that's exactly why this conversation is exploding right now. Because in 2026, RapNews doesn't move off official statements first. It moves off perception, reaction, and how fast a narrative spreads across social media. So I need you to tap in right now and tell me your honest opinion in the comments. Do you think this is a real shift in the situation that people are finally starting to notice? Or do you think this is another case of the internet overanalyzing everything and building a story of speculation, emotion, and recycled information? And be real. Don't just go with the crowd. I want your actual take. Because the comment section is where this story keeps evolving. Every perspective adds another layer to what people believe is happening right now. Also, if you're still here watching all the way through, that means you're tapped into this story at a deeper level than most people scrolling past clips on their feed. So make sure you hit that like button so this video can reach more people who are following the situation and want to break it down from different angles. And if you want more raw, unfiltered breakdowns like this, real rap news energy, viral cases, and stories the algorithm is pushing right now, then subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next update in this space can change everything overnight. Because in stories like this, the conversation never really ends. It just keeps moving. Fire.